Welcome to the fifth episode of me doing political tests, because this is what this channel is now. Today I'm going to again piss everyone off that is watching this video and be gathering expanding my collection of dislikes. So, no further ado, let's get into it. Transhumanism will be beneficial because it will allow us to improve our capacities. First question, no idea what they're trying to tell me with that. Citizens should take priority over foreigners. Of course. Maintaining strong economic growth should be an objective for the government. Definitely. The main goal of a couple is to make at least one child. At least 3. Marriage should be abolished. Don't care. Wage labor is a form of theft from the workers by companies. Exploitation of fossil fuels is necessary. Not necessarily. Transforming ecosystems durably to increase the quality of life of human beings is legitimate. Definitely. I am equally concerned about the inhabitants of my country and those of other countries. Not equally, but also, especially Europeans, revenues and capital should be taxed to redistribute wealth. I mean, they should be taxed. Sure. But that sounds very fucking communist to me. We must fight against global warming, sure. Social differences between ethnic groups cannot be explained by biology. Ethnic groups not, but race is a bit, baby. Activism in existing political organizations is not relevant to change society. Just because an already existing political organization is there, doesn't mean that they're part of the establishment or something like that, so no. Schools should mostly teach our values, traditions, and fundamental knowledge. If two countries have a similar economic, social system, and environmental norms, then the free market between them has no negative impact. It is unfair to set a minimal penalty for an offense or a crime. How is that unfair? The purpose of judiciary system should be to punish those who went against the law. Yeah, well, obviously. Heavy penalties are efficient because they are dissuasive. Yes. My country must pay for the damages caused by the crimes it committed in other countries. We never did anything. I deny all. I deny it all. It is necessary to remove regulations in labor legislation to encourage firms to hire. Okay. Revolutions will always end up in a bad way. Not always, it depends what kind of ideology is behind the revolution. Generally, they're normally successful. Revolutions are... they create republics and dictatorships. It really depends on what happens after the revolution. Generally, not necessarily. The filing and storage of personal records should be limited strictly, and database cross-checking should be forbidden. No. Research produced by my country should not be available to other countries. If they buy it, they can have it. The values of my country are superior to those of other countries. Yes. Dismissal of employees should be forbidden except if it is justified. Well, obviously. Abortion should be limited to specific cases. Foreigners living in my country should be allowed to act politically equal to those who have nationality. No. It is important to encourage an agriculture that maintains a food biodiversity even if the output is inferior. Yes. A language is defined by its users, not by scholars. Yeah, that's how language changes. Elections organized by the state cannot question the powers in place. They always do. Just recently in Ukraine, for example. Individuals who get out of prison should be accompanied in their reinsertion. Yes, because otherwise they'll probably end up back in jail very quickly. The age of retirement should be lowered. No, because it's perfect how it is, basically. And as life expectancy rises, lowering the retirement age is a bad idea. Because then you'll have just more and more people that will not be contributing to society anymore because they get older and older. It's not a good idea. The fact that some schools and universities are private is not a problem. Not a problem as long as they don't teach bullshit. The maximum allowed hours in the legal work week should be increased. Okay, sure. Gives you more flexibility. It is acceptable that some industry sectors are private. Yeah, absolutely. All sciences, and even chemistry and biology, are not absolute and are subject to being shaped by our society. Yeah, they aren't, as proven by history. The labor market enslaves workers. No, communists, fuck off. Nobody is by nature predisposed to criminality. I disagree because all humans are kind of predisposed to criminality, considering that many things that are criminal nowadays are natural human instincts. The sacrifice of some civil liberties is a necessity in order to be protected from terrorist acts. Yes. It is acceptable that the rich and poor people. Yes. Euthanasia should be authorized. Depends on the case. But generally, yeah. Borders, like, not for very light cases, but if you literally can't live without being in constant pain, then yeah. Borders should eventually be abolished. No. Homosexuals should not be treated equal to heterosexuals with regards to marriage, filiation. What's filiation? Adoption or procreation. I mean, they're already not really treated equally in procreation from nature, yeah. But I mean, like I said, I don't really care about marriage as an institution. Adoption, I think there should be a system that prefers heterosexual couples, but homosexuals shouldn't necessarily be like kept out of adoption entirely. So, somewhat agree. Changes in an individual's way of life can induce changes in the society. If enough individuals change their way of life, then yeah. It is necessary to massively invest in research to improve productivity. Yeah. Preserving non-urban ecosystems is more important than creating jobs. Don't really know. National chauvinism during sport competitions is not acceptable. Of course it is. Prisons should no longer exist. No. Changing the system radically is counterproductive. We should rather reform it progressively. No, we need a radical change. The police should be armed. Yeah. The categories women and men are social construct. Mass strike is a good way to require new rights. Proven system that works. Weirdly enough. Activists must always act in strict accordance with the law. No, absolutely not. Because in some countries, activism in general is illegal. So, what are you gonna do then? Biologically, human beings are designed for heterosexuality. Yeah. Sexual orientation is a social construct. I do not have any problem if other official languages are added or replaced that are already existing official language in my country. Of course I have a problem with that. I mean, if we have some historical minorities in our country, like in Carinthia with the Slovenian minorities, then yeah, they can have their secondary language. But new people being introduced to the country are supposed to learn their already existing language, not have their language put on the equal treatment list. Violence against individuals is never productive. No, depends on who the individual is. Sexual assault are partially caused by natural impulses. That's what I meant with the natural human impulses driving people to criminality. Abstinence should be preferred to contraception, not to preserve the true nature of their sexual act. Who gives a fuck? It is merit that explains differences of wealth between two individuals. No, not really. Order and authority should be respected in all circumstances. No, not really. People need to stand up for their ideals, even if it leads them to betray their country. Yeah. Yeah. Like, if your ideal is keeping your country strong and as a democracy and loving your country and being a patriot, pro-Austrian independence people, when the Anschluss happened, they were technically traitors to their country now. They were traitors to the Germans because they wanted Austria to remain independent. They stand up for their beliefs and continue and become traitors of their country. But they stand up for what their country should be, and that's independent, for example. Nuclear fission, when well maintained, is a good source of energy. Yes. It is necessary to implement assemblies to ration or production to the consumers according to their needs. Yeah. Technological progress must not change society too quickly. Yeah, if you change it too quickly, that will lead to a lot of unrest. Looking for one's own profit is healthy for the economy. No, not always. Minimal levels of salary should be ensured to make sure that a worker can live of his work. Yeah, minimum wage is generally a good idea. In some specific, because then you can actually turn people into fucking working slaves. In some specific conditions, the death penalty is justified. No, I think it always should be life in prison. Now, if you have some guy that has killed like 200 people, then maybe, but otherwise no. Insurrection is necessary to deeply change society. Not the only thing you can do, but definitely a valid thing. No, it shouldn't. Hacking has a legitimate place in political struggle. Yeah. Banks should remain private. I don't care what banks do. Differences of treatment and quality of life in our society show that racism is still omnipresent. No. No, it's more anti-racism. It's racism towards the majority that's currently a problem. No one should get rich from owning a business, housing, or land. No, fuck off, communist. We need to make compromises with the opposition to apply our ideas. Yeah, that's sadly a thing that we have to do, as long as we don't have an absolute majority behind us. Patents should not exist. They should, but maybe not in the way they exist right now, where you patent something and nobody else is allowed to use it, like with copyright systems and shit like that. So somewhat agree, somewhat disagree. Energy and transport securities should be a public matter. Yeah, mostly the state can take care of that. Sabotage is legitimate under certain conditions. Yes, of course. If your country turns into a violent authoritarian dictatorship, sabotaging it is actually your patriotic duty. Humans should neither eat nor exploit animals. No. Traditions should be questioned. Of course, not all traditions are perfect. Definitely some that are very old and would not work anymore today. All of them should be questioned and renewed. That's how traditions work. Not all traditions catch on, but generally what is today a tradition is proven to work already, so that much questioning won't be necessary. Social assistance deters people from working. If it's too much, but that's what the time limits are for. You get social assistance until you find a workplace, and if you don't find a workplace within this certain amount of time, we'll cut your social assistance. So yes, generally, but it doesn't have to generally do that. Honest struggle in a country is sometimes necessary, yes. Offshoring and outsourcing are necessary to evils to improve production. No, not necessarily. A good citizen is a patriot, of course. Multiculturalism is a threat to our society, yes. The influence of religion should decrease. It's already at such a small little level that it can't really decrease anymore, can it? Market economy is optimal when it is not regulated. Regulation is a necessity. Selfishness is the overriding drive in the human species, no matter the context. I mean, generally, yes, everybody acts in their own self-interests. Even the people who preach collectivism do that. Nowadays, employees are free to choose when signing a contract with their future employer. I mean, yeah. We should always distance ourselves from protesters who use violence. Depending on what it's being protested, isn't it? Foreigners for richer culture, definitely not. Hormonal differences can explain some differences in individual characteristics between women and men. Absolutely, yes. It is not acceptable that human actions should lead to the extinction of species. It's only natural. Reduction of waste should be done by reducing production, of course. A bit of production can be reduced. Space colonization is a good solution for supplying the lack of raw material on Earth. A very good solution, actually. It is necessary to teach history in order to create a sense of belonging to the nation, of course. Always focus on the good parts of your history. Not doing like Germany, where you teach your students to hate your own country. We need to establish a monarchy to federate the people and preserve sovereignty. Constitutional monarchy, okay? We should accept changes in our way of consuming food to limit the exploitation of nature. Yeah. Justice should always take into consideration the context and the passion of the condemned and adapt their penalty accordingly. The right to be anonymous on the internet should be guaranteed, yes. It is important that health should be a public matter. Yeah. It is necessary to avoid private monopoly. What is not born, but rather becomes a woman. No. Some sectors of type of employment should be financially supported. Yeah, okay. Some. Like state-run sectors would be best. State-run companies should be managed like private ones, following the logic of market. Yeah. It is legitimate for a country to intervene militarily to defend its economic interests. Yeah, mostly. It is a small group that consciously and secretly controls the world. Sorry. No. Conditions of life in jails should be greatly improved. No, that's the point of life in jail. You're not supposed to have great conditions. Environmental norms should be influenced by mass consumption and not from an authority. What? It is better to arrest someone potentially dangerous preventively rather than taking the risk of having them commit a crime. With possible terrorists, sure. Thought criminals, less so. A good police is a pragmatic police. A good policy is a pragmatic policy without ideology. Yes. Members of a nation or culture have some unchangeable characteristics that define them. Yes. Loans contracted in the public sphere, state, regions, collectives, should not necessarily be refunded. Loans should always be refunded. GMOs should be forbidden outside research and medical purposes. I mean, there's not necessarily anything wrong with GMOs, but okay. Transgender individuals will never really be of the gender they would like to be. No. Well, yes, they will never be. The social roles of women and men can partly be explained by biological differences, yes. My religion must be spread as widely as possible. Which religion? I don't have a religion. Yes, of course. My non-existent religion. So, what do we have here? Fatherland, work and family. Wonderful. Essentialist. I'm such an extreme essentialist. Incredible. What is essentialism? Definitely for punitive justice, so that's interesting. Okay, progressivism versus conservatism. Much more conservative than progressive, which is good. 71% nationalist. That's all that you love to see it. Capitalism versus communism. I'm kind of equal on that. Laissez-faire versus regulationism. Also, I mean that just represents my belief of mixed economics. Economics. Ecology versus productivism. Generally, all shows my belief in mixed economics. Revolution. Let's go. Let's do the revolution. And what do we have here? What does this mean? What do those mean? We have a bigger one. Here. Pragmatism. Politics objectively boil down to looking at where the problems are and trying to solve them according to the means available. Monarchism. I'm not a real serious monarchist, okay? Society should be organized around a king. Okay, whatever you say. Yeah, for religion is so important to me. Religion is so important to me. And it should be spread everywhere. Everyone should become an atheist. Oh, that's wonderful. Great. Thanks for watching. This tells you again. Everyone who wants to complain, please send me a complaint form signed to my address. Please, thank you, and goodbye. Subscribe, like, share, whatever. Do what you fucking want. I probably won't see you in the next video because you won't watch the next video, but hey, bye!